All right, everybody. Countdown. You know what time it is. It's time for math with Mr. Troy. You know, like it's the end of the year stuff. Cool. All right, we're just going to take a look at 4 problems today, and then we'll move on. Our instructions are to remove from fractional form, which just means get rid of denominators. Cool. Let's do it. Let's start with the one on the top left. No one ever does that, right? Okay, so when we look at a problem like this, we're going to think, kind of about like, how does this apply to things that we've already done? And what sort of analogies can we draw to kind of help us do this problem? So when we look at this, it looks like we're just adding 2 rational functions or 2 rational expressions. Technically, they're not because we're not dealing with polynomials, but very, very similar. So how would we go about doing that? So I think what we would normally do is we would normally find a common denominator and then try and add them together. So let's do that. One thing that we all might also think of is the fact that these kind of look like conjugates. So maybe there's a whole difference of squares thing going on here. Okay, so I'm going to multiply each by their conjugate in the numerator and the denominator like this. And when I distribute through, I'm going to get this. Now notice I have the same denominator, and my cosines are going to cancel out. So my numerator is going to be 2. And my denominator is going to be 1 minus the cosine squared of x. Now, when I look at 1 and a cosine or sine squared, I want to think Pythagorean identity, so I'm going to make a substitution there. So remember our Pythagorean identity from before, that 1 is the sine squared of x plus the cosine squared of x, so I can substitute that in for 1. That's going to leave me with 2 over the sine squared of x, which is 2 times the cosecant squared of x. All right, so that's how that addition problem simplifies down. Here's one for you to try. Okay, so pause the video and see if you can figure out what to do with this one. So here's what I got, and I think this illustrates an issue with these types of problems. How in the world do you know when you're done? Well, the directions said to get rid of the denominator, take it out of fractional form, and that's what we did. So we can move on. All right, so I'm going to leave these last 2 for you to try, and you'll definitely try them, and then we'll talk about them in class. Cool. See ya.